Hello everyone, what is up? It is me, Ewan from WhatCulture, joined as always by Josh Brown. Say hi, Josh.
Hello.
And we're here to talk to you about Marvel's The Avengers, because yesterday Square Enix revealed on Twitter that Marvel's Avengers project will be at E3 2019. But the new title of Marvel's Avengers.
Right? Look, this might just seem like, of course it's Marvel's Avengers. The Avengers are literally owned by Marvel, but when you put it into context with the other Marvel game currently on the market, Marvel's Spider-Man, Ewan, I'm not crazy in thinking this might suggest some kind of shared universe.
I completely agree with you, Josh Brown. How coincidental. Yeah, no, it's really cool. So basically, they revealed the official title and the logo for the A. It's slightly different than the normal Avengers A. It's got a little bit of a pointy, jaggedy bit there. But I think this is a lot more than just like corporate synergy. This is probably going to speak to the Gamerverse, which is what Marvel's comics have been calling it. We've had a few spin-off comics from Spider-Man PS4. We've had City at War, which is just adapting the main story of the game, and then one that's based on how Peter got the Velocity suit, which was in the DLC.
Yes.
And it's called the Gamerverse. So it's not the Marvel Gaming Universe, it is the Marvel Gamerverse, which is a little bit weird. But yeah, it's obviously it's a little too soon to go full in and say this is definitely connected, but the dots are seeming to line up, and it's very interesting that even if, Spider-Man PS4 was a PS4 exclusive, it was officially called Marvel Spider-Man, and obviously even though Xbox might be a little bit kind of like, you don't want to give Sony that free publicity, I just want to remind everyone that the Avengers are the biggest comic book IP on the planet at the moment, and if you've got a big tasty pie that's going to make you lots of money,
I want a bit of it.
You want a little bit.
I want a little bit of that pie. I know it, like the Sony exclusivity with Spider-Man is obviously kind of strange, but no one has no idea what that deal was, because obviously, Sony are currently lending out Spider-Man to Marvel in the cinematic universe, so maybe there was a deal somewhere along there that gave Sony the exclusive rights to the character in the gaming world. It is very, very convoluted, but like you said, I don't think that necessarily stops the idea of a cinematic universe, especially when Spider-Man came out, and I think it was Brian Inatar who was talking about how this was kind of like their Iron Man, and this was their stepping stone into a wider universe. And you go back to that game, and there are so many references. There's literally the Avengers Tower in there. There's like Doctor Strange's Sanctum Sanctorum.
Sanctum Sanctorum,
I got
baby.
it right. But there is so many connections to the wider universe, even though we don't see any actual characters. So the groundwork seems to be set, and the fact that the branding is very on point, to me indicates it. But I do hear that there's a spanner in the works somehow, with the A being slightly different. What's that about?
So in the actual, if you look at Avengers Tower and Spider-Man PS4, it's definitely, they've taken the A just from the comic books and the films. It looks just like the normal A. This one actually has like a pointed little bit at the corner with the intersection, the long bit as you come across. I'm describing the formation of a letter here. Jesus.
This is news.
Yeah, but no, it's that's the only thing that I could potentially see them maybe diverging on, but the wording of Marvel's Avengers just feels too deliberate to me. I think definitely. If you're going to have these Marvel games from now on, it makes sense just to call it Marvel's ... And then obviously Spider-Man PS4, like you said, it's seeded so many different characters. It's seeded Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, Doctor Strange, Iron Man, the Avengers, and it just seems like such a no-brainer for them to capitalize on this universe that they have. I mean, we had Rocksteady's Batman games who they had loads of references to the DC universe in their games, and yet nothing really kind of came from that, at least not to our knowledge yet. So the fact that kind of, not to, again, jump full dive in, doing that thing where you jump off the building in Spider-Man and you do the dive thing, and you get to and you swing really fast, it's really satisfying. But I feel as though this is the first tangible proof that there is a gamerverse that could be coming along.
Definitely. I mean, we'll find out more June 10th, but even now there are kind of like a few details sort of teasing what the Avengers game could be. Before they even revealed that the Avengers project was going to be at E3, they sort of teased their conference as a whole, and they had some of the colors of the Infinity Stones surrounding the marketing, which is interesting because it makes sense for them to go down like the Infinity Gauntlet, Infinity War route, straight after Endgame and Infinity War, but not knowing when this game is actually going to come out, not knowing how soon it is that potentially a mistake? Because obviously, like you said, the Avengers is literally like the biggest IP in the entire world. It's going to be the largest, highest grossing movie of all time, so it makes sense to use elements from that film, but will the MCU have moved on by then, and what does that mean for the Marvel gaming universe? I don't know.
That's my only fear for the upcoming Avengers game, is that they kind of focus too much on the Infinity Saga, which fans have seen time and time again at this point. We know that Ultimate Alliance 3 is this centered around Thanos and the Black Order. I think if we were going to get another of those, it would be a little bit annoying, but you know, we know that Captain America is an established hero in the Spider-Man PS4. I think Peter compares himself to at one point and says that he's been around for a long time. And obviously Peter Parker himself is in his early 20s in that video game. So there is definitely an established Avengers team in that universe. There's even a reference to the West Coast Avengers as well.
Yes.
So there is all sorts of places they could go with this. I'd be interested to see if they do take that cosmic element and kind of... I don't think you could have an open world Avengers game. I think it does have to be very linear. You have different missions where you play as different characters, and I would be so happy if Yuri Lowenthal got to reprise his role as Spider-Man in this game. Yeah,
chef's kisses all over the place.
Imagine if they wheeled out and said that Insomniac could like collaborate to do like a Spider-Man level in the game.
That's interesting. Like in the era we're in now in the industry, partnerships are popping up all over the place. If you told me a few years ago that Microsoft's Xbox Live pass thing would be, and Xbox Live in general, would be on the Nintendo Switch, I'd have called you an absolute nutter. Like that partnership is kind of unprecedented. And just a few weeks ago, Sony and Microsoft's like higher ups, they were talking about looking to explore potential partnerships. Sony, like the PlayStation side of things, have actually kind of, thrown a bit of water on that fire, as it were. But still, the idea that that is possible is kind of exciting and crazy and doesn't rule out anything. I think where the Avengers are right now, like in terms of what we know about the game, because even before this was revealed, we knew that the Avengers were kind of broken up. That's the general premise for this next title, which could explain why they weren't in Spider-Man PS4 if they weren't sort of on active duty or they were doing their own solo missions. So I think for me, that will be a good reason to explain why they weren't actually properly a presence in like either Avengers Tower or in Manhattan itself in Spider-Man, or it could be that they were just out fighting Thanos and were on this cosmic scale while Peter was looking after New York, if that makes sense.
No, that would be really cool. I really want to see them flesh out this world because it was so rich. I love it when different adaptations really flesh out and put their own stamp on like the universe.
Yeah.
And to me, like the world that we saw getting built in Spider-Man was like, wow, this is really cool. This is really unique. Obviously, it's it still comes from the Marvel comics, but it's also there is so much history. I felt like I was swinging through this New York that had been through a lot, that had I felt lived in, and that the Marvel universe had like kind of reacted to it. I really liked that. What would you like to see from the Avengers project at E3? What happened? What would be the reveal that would just send your brain into overdrive?
Avengers in space, I think, because like you said, I don't think you can do an open world game with these characters that are just like too sprawling and epic and like big, and you kind of need to focus them down a little bit. So for me, it would be a cosmic story. I would like to see them do the Infinity Saga but put their own spin in it. Like you said, Insomniac did such a great job with Spider-Man in making him feel like their own. This was a distinctive universe, kind of separate from the comics, even though it took inspiration from it. And I want to see them do that with Avengers. I don't want to see these characters just be the characters we know and love, even though as tempting as it must be to just, try to imitate Robert Downey Jr.'s performance or Chris Hemsworth is funny thought. Like, I want to see Square Enix and Crystal Dynamics actually put their own spin on them and sort of, subvert our expectations of what we expect the Avengers to be.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, I think the idea of making it that they're disassembled at the start, because the rumors is that the narration in the very, very, very first trailer, which came out 2 bloody years ago, with Scarlet Witch and talking about that.
That'd be cool.
I don't know. It's one of those things where it's such uncharted territory. Like, we know that both Spider-Man and obviously Arkham beforehand had teased this kind of collaboration before, but if they're able to replicate the model of the MCU but with video games, that is going to be so successful. That is going to make them so much money. If you create a video game franchise that feeds into each other and you can't get the full story without playing the next game,
I mean, that in my eyes, that's the ideal situation. I don't know how realistic that is going to be, because like you said, not only, obviously Marvel games as a whole are now looking after their properties and they're in charge of who gets to develop which games, unlike before when they licensed it out to Activision. And we all know how that ended, but even then you've got publishers and then developers within those publishers all treating their games differently. And although I'm sure, like you said, they all want a piece of the delicious Marvel pie, I guess they won't want to, kind of like cannibalize their own work or kind of like pay up like Spidey and drive sales to them. I'm sure it will be happy for everyone, but I don't think publishers really work that way. They kind of want everything for themselves, but I think that might be the only potential collaborative issue. But even then, like we said, Marvel is the biggest name on the planet, and if anyone could do it, It's probably them.
I'd be terrified if Xbox and Sony keep on trying to have their own little exclusive wars. It's like you can have Spider-Man exclusive, but we'll have Iron Man. That would be really annoying. But I want to know what you all think of this Marvel's Avengers upcoming announcement. Does it confirm that it's tied into Spider-Man? Please let us know down in the comments below, and whether or not you think the Gamerverse is a better name than the Marvel Gaming Universe.
It's not.
As always, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and head back on over to whatculture.com/gaming, where you can find more lists, articles, and news, and rambling from us every day. As always, I've been Ewan.
I've been Josh.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye. Where does the Guardians of the Galaxy fit into this?
Oh, crap.
Christ.